Welcome to Head Kick Audio. I got a special guest that's going to be competing at RUF 50. That's right, the big 5-0. I did that with both hands. It looked weird. Anyways, I've got Aleko Poinar, who's going to be competing at RUF 50 October 22nd at the Celebrity Theater. He's going to be taking on Humberto Duarte at 125 pounds. Now, ladies and gentlemen, flyweight is my favorite division, but this fucking interview is not about me. Aleko, talk to me about your fight. I know you train at a Big Shot Boxing because we wrote that down. That's where you get your boxing done. But the main MMA gym is Extreme Couture. So talk to me about the fight camp and talk to me about your prep for Duarte.
This fight camp's been crazy. I was supposed to fight in August, and the dude didn't show up to weigh in, so I pretty much have had like a fight camp going since July, and really didn't take a break or anything. Just kind of got right back into it, and we got the new opponent. My coaches did some studying on him, and we kind of applied that to our training moving forward. And it was kind of the same old for the past 6 weeks, just trying to hone in and refine the skills and get ready to show those skills next week. But the training camp went great. Today and tomorrow, like the last hard days of training, and we'll start taking the foot off the pedal after that and get ready to compete next week.
Okay, definitely. When it's time to take that foot off the pedal, take it off, because if I don't have professional flyweights to call, I'll be very upset. You understand?
I'll don't worry. I'll be there and I'll be ready and I'll be peaking at that time. So we're good. Don't got to worry about me.
Okay, and that's perfect, because like I said, flyweight favorite division. I want to see you guys scrap. You got a very formidable opponent in Humberto Duarte. Okay, what does he do well that we got to keep an eye out for?
Obviously he's a striker. He likes he's a kickboxer and a boxer. He likes to scrap, from what it seems like. I fought guys like him before, so I'm ready to just put my chin down, bite down on my mouth guard, and do what I have to do to get the win. But I try and focus on me more than my opponent, and let my coaches like do most of the work for as far as like game planning and all that stuff goes for my opponent. I've watched a little bit of film, but I let my coaches do most of that work, and I focus on being the best me that I can be on fight night. But I'm ready to bite down on my mouth guard and get the win.
Okay, 2-2 overall as a pro. Looking to start a win streak here at RUF 50. What is your main aspirations as a mixed martial artist? Obviously, the cop out is to be the GOAT, but what are some things on your bucket list that you're trying to check off going forward in your career?
Number one, my goal, the only reason why I'm doing this is to be a world champion in mixed martial arts. Obviously, the last 2 fights didn't go my way. I can have my opinion about my last fight. The fight before that, I kind of had to take a learning lesson, and I did. But I've been competing since I was 6 years old in martial arts, all over the country and all over the world, in karate, and been wrestling since like middle school and doing jiu-jitsu since middle school all the way through college, and been boxing and doing kickboxing pretty consistently that whole time too. It sucks losing, but it's just part of the game. It's part of life. And I know that with my style, I have a style that I can go on a 10-fight win streak. I can go on a 12-fight win streak. I just have to put, the L's behind me and just use them as learning lessons. And luckily, on a side note, Brandon Moreno, the current flyweight interim champion, he took me under his wing like a year and a half ago, and we trained pretty consistently up until like probably midsummer, I'd say. And, in doing that and getting to train with him, it was basically a private basis with him and his small group of people that, he trains with. I got to see, him lose a split decision and lose the belt, and then get back in the gym and just put it behind him and train his butt off for months and go and, get a TKO and get the belt back and get the interim belt back. So I've seen what it's like to, taste loss on a big scheme and turn it around at the highest levels. And, I'm ready to do that with where I'm at in my career. Losses, it would have been awesome to go undefeated and be a undefeated world champion, but I had to take some learning lessons in the beginning of my career, the last 2 fights. And like I said, regardless of my opinion on my last fight, it's just a learning lesson, and I'm not letting it hold me back. I got right back in the gym, and I know what I'm capable of. Anybody that judges me off of my record or my last 2 fights, if that's what they want to judge, go ahead. They'll find out the hard way, or they'll get surprised. So, I'm ready to go. I'm ready. My goal is to be a world champion. start my win streak next Saturday.
Okay, so let me tell you something about records. You heard there for file cabinets and disc jockeys, right? That's because
Yeah.
it's true. Records don't tell the whole story, and I don't care about records. That's not really my deal here. My deal is to give fighters like you a platform to tell your story. So I don't care about records. I've seen guys that come in 3-8 and then win their fight. You know what I mean? So records don't mean nothing to me. And if somebody's judging you off their record, I feel bad for them because they're not preparing for the best Poinar. You know what I mean? So I definitely respect anybody who gets in the cage, but don't look at the record at all. And second, you just name dropped there a little bit. It's a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can do it again real quick if you want me to. Just like I said, Brandon Moreno was my main training partner. He started his career 2-2. And then Jake Shields is my head grappling coach, and he started his career 2-2, and he was a 5-time world champion. So I'm confident in who I'm surrounded by. That the past is the past. I'm gonna start my win streak on next Saturday.
Well, and getting to work with these guys and see all the things that they go through on a very high level, right? We're not talking about the regional scene. You're talking about Strike Force champions, UFC champions, interim champions, title challengers. You're talking big names here. And so you see what they have all gone through. And you just said they both started their careers 2-2. That's where you stand now. So it's like you're like starting a new chapter in this book and ready to go on a tear.
For sure. And maybe it's not a new chapter, it's just a new page. It's a new page, and I'm ready to start, the better part of this chapter.
Okay, I got you. So you said that you have been basically competing in martial arts your entire life. Karate, kickboxing, all that stuff. What drove you to MMA in particular? Because I found that once people, even if they've been a martial artist their entire life, once they get to MMA, like they're committed. They are stuck with MMA. What's your story?
I mean, man, really, I loved the UFC when I was like in middle school, and I had already been doing like martial arts. And like when I say I started in karate, the guy that ran the gym, he would make us do like jujitsu and kickboxing stuff too. So I'd always been around like he trained fighters that fought in Pride and all that stuff. So when I lived in Ohio, I was always around like martial arts when I was like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, going into the teen years and stuff like that. And I really fell in love with wrestling in middle school, but I always knew in the back of my head that MMA was what I wanted to do and wanted to pursue because I had always excelled in martial arts and whatever martial art it was that I was pursuing. So I kind of always knew in the back of my head that that's what I wanted to do. But I would say I wrestled 2 years in college, and after I decided not to go back to college, that was when I was like, okay, I'm going to give MMA a run, and that's when I started my amateur career and really kind of committed to it. So that's the long story short. My parents got me into martial arts when I was 6 years old, and I started competing at I think 7 or 8, and was all over the country as a kid competing. And it's my identity since I've been 6 years old, so that's why I got into it, I would say. But after I dropped out of college and stopped wrestling in college, I decided to pursue MMA, and that's when I really got into it and really made the commitment for it.
Now, one thing I failed to ask when I've had a lifelong martial artist on the show is how did that affect recess? How did that affect, maybe somebody that came and tried to pick on you? Was it, hard for you to, kind of hold back because you knew you could kick their ass, or did you just let it go?
I mean, for the most part, I've always been well respected because I respect people. And like the way I was taught with martial arts is like you avoid conflict at all costs. But if you have to defend yourself, then you defend yourself. So like if somebody tried to start shit with me when I was super young, then I would avoid the conflict and just like even if it made me look like the weaker person, I knew what I was capable of, and I would kind of push away from any conflict and stuff. There was one incident, and like going into high school where a bigger kid was picking on me, and I had to defend myself, and I did in front of like 15 or 20 people, and I never really had an incident after that. So, like I said, mostly I've been respected throughout my life, and if there ever was anything that was like conflict or anything like that, I was taught at a young age, like you know you're learning how to defend yourself and how to possibly harm people and all that stuff, but avoid it at all conflict or at all costs. Because, even if you are defending yourself, you could be caught in the wrong or whatever. So I've always tried to, avoid conflict unless I'm getting paid for it or unless I'm competing.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. So on Saturday, October 22nd, you're going to go in there against Duarte. I don't want you to give anything in the way of the game plan. Okay, I don't want you to give any of that away. But have you given thought to? Because I know on the record there's a lots of decisions and fighters in search of their first finish or first finishes. Have you given any thought to that? Is there any pressure on you to produce a finish?
No, there's no pressure at all, man. I mean, whatever pressure there is, I'm going to use it to perform and make me shine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I use pressure in a good way. And like, I have the capability, whether it's on the feet or on the ground, to finish the fight wherever it's at. And you can ask anybody that trains with me out here. It's true. Obviously, you can look at my record and look at all that stuff and try and say like, oh, he's a grappler or oh, he's a wrestler. But you can ask anybody at the gym, as the high level people I train with, I'm pretty good at striking too, but it's just kind of something that's hidden right now. But I'm fully able to finish the fight, whether it's standing or whether it's on the ground.
Well, and a lot of people that wrestle, they find that they have power. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that you kind of got to be aware of. You know what I mean? You may have not found it yet, but it's out there. You know what I mean? Because wrestling is a grueling, grueling sport, especially if you've been doing it since a very young age, which helps with the weight cut, right? You've already learned the process of the weight cut. And especially being flyweight, one of the smallest weight classes available for men. So you're used to that, but it's so grueling that I think a lot of wrestlers, because they're so used to wrestling, they don't find their power right away. And I think that, the people that you train with, I'm sure you found it.
For sure. I know what I'm capable of, man. Like, I know that I can grapple with the best grapplers in the world and I can strike with the best strikers in the world. I know that. And I'm excited to finally show that next weekend, wherever the fight goes.
Well, I'm feeling lots of confidence, which is very, very crucial in this, part of the training camp, because if there's any doubts, you know what I mean, then you're kind of in some trouble there. But I'm feeling the confidence here, which is great. I love when fighters are confident, because not only does that mean it's going to be better for their outcome, but it's going to also produce a better fight. Now, is that important to you as a fighter, putting on an exciting fight for the fans, or is just getting the win all we're concerned about?
I think with my style that, I've never been booed. You know what I'm saying? I've never had fans mad at me or received backlash or anything. With my style, like, I'm working the entire time, man. Like, I'm not worried about that. And like, at the end of the day, like, it's about getting the win. Like, to advance your career in the right way, it's about getting the win, regardless of what the fans or any of that think. But on that note, like I said, I have a style that I can finish the fight on the ground or on the feet, wherever it goes. So I think the fans in Arizona are going to be very happy with the fight and my performance. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's about getting the win and advancing your career.
You guys could absolutely stink, but because you guys are my favorite weight class, I don't think it'll matter. I don't think it's going to, because I haven't seen very many flyweight fights suck. I just haven't. You guys are the most well-conditioned, the most well-rounded, and you guys are like, had you watched Dragon Ball Z?
Dude, Dragon Ball Z is another reason why I'm still, a martial artist and all that stuff. It was my favorite. I actually just watched the new Super series or whatever. So yes, I'm a pretty avid Dragon Ball Z fan.
Okay, so you know how when they're fighting and it just looks like a cloud?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a flyweight fight right there.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
And I love it. I love it. So that's cool that you watch Dragon Ball Z. I mean, I don't follow it religiously. I didn't even know they were still making the show. I watched Dragon Ball Z from when Trunks came from the future to right before Majin Buu. That's my sweet spot right there. Anything outside of that, I couldn't tell you.
I gotcha. Well, I'm a nerd, so I've watched all that stuff too.
Well, and it's also very common for fighters to have that in common, is the anime or the types of shows that they watch. It seems like as if it involves any type of fighting, we're just fucking in.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
So, I mean, I grew up watching Power Rangers. I grew up watching wrestling. I mean, if it was people beating each other up, I was just all in.
Same here, man. That's how I've been since I was a kid. It's the only thing that, really can keep my interest. I guess football sometimes, but really, fighting and boxing, that's the only thing that keeps my interest, man. And once you're in this deep with it, it's hard to be interested by anything else. And once you've competed at a professional level, even amateur level, it's like the most pure form of competition. Like I wrestled on national teams and stuff. I wrestled in college. Like there's nothing like competing in MMA. It's the most pure form of competition there is. So once you do it, it's hard to, be interested in many other things.
It is. It is. I remember like I really got into MMA, right? This is when I first got into MMA, and then I was never a real big boxing guy, right? I was never a real big boxing guy. I knew the Canelos, the Mayweathers, but I was never a real big boxing guy. And somebody had said, "Oh, you got to watch this fight. You got to watch this fight." So I'm thinking, "Oh, it's a fight." I'm thinking MMA, and it's a boxing match. And I found myself not like bored per se, because boxing is not my thing. There are boxing matches that are really good, but I saw too many takedowns that were given up. I was like, oh, he could have taken him down right there. Oh, he missed there. He could have leg kicked him right there. Oh, a spinning back elbow would have worked. You know what I mean? So for me, it's if it can't, if the skill and the action isn't there with other sports, it's just not the same for me. Not the same at all.
For sure. And like, I fell in love with boxing, but like it's a limited rule set. So like the outside eye, they want to see action. They want to see all the stuff you're talking about. And like the outside eye might not understand boxing or might not find it as interesting as an MMA fight where like there's something going down all times, especially with the lighter weight classes, whether it's on the ground or on the feet.
For sure, for sure. And I can't I'm gonna say it again, Flyweight's my favorite because I really can't say it enough. So I'm super stoked that Jason Martinez put this match together because I think it's a very, very, very competitive fight. I think you guys both do everything really well, and that's when you're gonna get the best fight. When both guys are so evenly matched, it's either gonna suck or it's gonna be awesome. You guys are flyweight, so it can only be awesome. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think that's a good way to look at it. I think you're right too. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be totally awesome. And I've got almost the best seat in the house. The ref has got me beat there just by a smidge. You know what I mean?
Right.
All right. So outside of MMA, anime, and any other types of combat sports, what are some of your other interests?
Man, since I moved out to Vegas, like I've always loved nature and like being outside, but since I moved to Vegas, like hiking and going out and seeing within 4 or 5 hours from Las Vegas, there's like 6 or 7 like really big national parks. So like going out hiking, seeing like new sites, going exploring out into nature, I fell in love with that. So that's a big thing. When the pandemic happened, all the lockdowns happened, I kind of taught myself how to play blackjack, and that was like another little side thing I started to enjoy to do. I don't do it that much anymore, but I definitely enjoy that as well. But I would say mainly just, getting out into nature and hiking and going to different national parks and, really getting some fresh air that way. I fell in love with that. And that's probably about it outside of training, really.
Well, see, and that's dope. I'm a very outdoorsy hiking kind of guy, even though I'm always working or I'm lazy. There's always that. You know what I mean? Because I'm not gonna pretend like I'm the most fucking active dude on planet Earth, because I'm not. There are times where I just sit on my phone for hours. You know what I mean?
I
But
feel you on that too, man.
there are some beautiful national parks in Utah. Have you been to Utah and checked them out?
Oh yeah, I've been to Zion, I've been to Bryce Canyon, I've been to a few other places too that are like not national parks but just like hidden gems. Utah is definitely my favorite place. I went to Sedona a few times too, and that place was awesome as well. But Utah definitely takes the cake.
Yeah, Utah is gorgeous. If you like mountains and colors, like, because I'm a mountain guy, I could never, like, you said you were from Ohio originally?
Yeah.
What part?
North Canton. It's like an hour south of Cleveland, 10 minutes north of the Football Hall of Fame.
Okay, because my wife is from Lima, so how far is that?
I think that's like 3 hours. Lima's more. I'm pretty positive Lima's like south. I could be wrong on that, but I know it's like 3 hours from us.
Okay.
I'm like northeast Ohio.
So she says it's flat over there.
Oh, it's flat. Like the highest elevation I think is like 400 or 500 feet. So there's not much mountains or anything out there. Ohio is pretty like during the fall and all that stuff, but as far as nature goes, there's not that much.
Yeah, she says it's flat, right? And we're in Arizona. There's lots of mountains. There's lots of, hills. She tells me that there's a hill that's probably about the size of the one, just across the street from me, and they call it a mountain. I'm like, well, that's a hill. A mountain is that big mama right there. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I'm a mountain guy. I love mountains. I wouldn't be able to live in a place where it was completely flat. And I had never been to Utah, and I went there to Zion and Bryce and all that, and I was blown away at how gorgeous it is out there.
Dude, it's crazy. It's like, I don't know. For me, it's like the best thing ever. You can go out there and all your problems go away. And it's just, like I said, Mother Nature is a crazy thing. So it's beautiful. Zion, especially. Zion's like my favorite place.
Super dope, super dope. Love Utah. There was plans to eventually, should we hit the retirement age to retire to Utah, but I think maybe our plans have taken a different turn. But I got to get back there because, man, it's awesome. But Arizona is pretty awesome too. Not only do we have some gorgeous mountains, but we also have the best fights. Okay, and I'm talking RUF 50, October 22nd. I think you're going, right?
Oh, I'll be there for sure, man. I'll be there and I'll be ready for it. I'm excited. All my buddies that have fought on the show and been there, they say like RUF does an amazing job with the production and like the fans are super awesome and the arena's super cool. So I'm excited to jump in and get to experience all this.
Yeah, it's a very sexy arena. I love it. And the staff at Celebrity Theater, like they are the best. You know what I mean? I don't know any of them by name, but I remember all of their faces, and they're always super friendly. And if we need something, they get it for us. Celebrity Theater, those guys are awesome. Plus, our announcer, I think he's like the manager or something of the arena. So that's pretty dope.
There we go. Good. I'm even more excited now.
Yeah, I call him Dave Velvet, and it kind of stuck because I couldn't remember his last name, but he was wearing like a velvet suit. So I'm like, hey, Dave Velvet. It worked.
There we go.
All right, so let's talk about this fight a little bit more. I would like to know, again, not giving away the game plan, but do you have a prediction to how this fight will go your way?
I think that I see the fight. I see myself getting my hand raised at the end of the fight. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to leave it at. I just see myself being victorious and getting my hand raised.
Okay, and what would this fight mean for your career going forward?
This would just be the start of my winning streak to go on to become a world champion and putting the past behind me for the last two fights. So this is basically the new beginning. I'm going to rise like a phoenix in Phoenix.
Yeah, I like that. That was clever. That was clever. And I saw the social media post. Of course, your Instagram will be at the bottom of your picture. So if you want to follow Aleko, just go to his under him, not under me, under him. Mine is there too, but that's only so we can differentiate. Okay, you don't have to follow me, but follow this man on Instagram. Go ahead and drop the @ for those who maybe aren't watching but listening.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
What's your @?
Oh, my @ it's at Aleko_125.
Okay, and that's on Instagram. Do you do any other social media platforms?
On Facebook, I'm Aleko Poinar.
Okay, so check him out on Facebook, check him out on Instagram. He just dropped those right there. Please make sure you follow this man. Flyweights are the best. Am I following you? Because if I'm not, fucking remind me and I'll make sure that I'm doing that.
You followed me the other day.
Okay, yeah, I like to make sure that I'm following all my fighters. I got one more question for you. October 22nd, your hand gets raised. I would like to know how you are going to celebrate with your victory meal.
Ooh, probably burger, wherever good burgers are, burger and fries, and we'll go from there. But definitely somewhere with a good burger.
Okay, so you're a burger guy. I'm a burger guy.
In celebration, yes.
Okay. What are we having for dessert?
Ooh, probably a milkshake from somewhere. then
Okay.
that's just the start. When I like after the fights and after we celebrate, it's really game on. But the milkshake's in there and whatever else we get at the gas station or that on the way back to the Airbnb. But I definitely see a burger after victory.
Okay, and what are we washing it down with? I know you said a milkshake, but
But hey, whatever I get handed, I'll wash it down with. Probably a water to start, but whatever other drinks my friends want to give me or anybody else want to give me, that's what we'll wash it down with.
all right, my man. It doesn't sound like you're very picky, and that couldn't be any better for a post-fight celebration. Just whatever they hand you, wash it down, baby.
Yes, sir. That's the plan.
Okay, again, Aleko Poinar competes at RUF 50 at the Celebrity Theater in downtown Phoenix, Arizona, October 22nd. And again, flyweights, guys. Flyweights. They are the best. What is it? It's the best. It's the best.
Hey, it definitely is the best.
All right, my mans. Well, in a couple weeks, I'll be there shaking your hand, meeting you in person, and then we get to watch you do the damn thing. I'm super excited. You got any thank yous, shout outs, or sponsors or anything that you'd like to shout out right now?
Yeah, thanks to everybody that's helped me get ready for this camp. And, like I said, the fight that fell through before, everybody that stuck with me from Extreme Couture, my coaches, Eric Nixick, Jake Shields, Dennis Davis, all of my training partners, my boxing coach at Big Shot Black Boxing. His name's Mitman Mark. Thank you to those guys, to my sponsors, Nimble Systems, Gorilla Sportswear, Spaces Consignment, Blunt Transparency, Roman Athletic Institution, my manager, and everybody else that supports me and all that stuff. Thank you. It wouldn't be possible without you guys.
Yeah, and shout out to that Roman Athletic Institution, because those guys, man, they keep their guys busy. If you are looking for a management company that really looks after their fighters, those guys, I always see them posting about their fighters having fights. And that's exciting for a management company as small as they are doing what they're doing for you guys. That's dope. So I will give those motherfuckers a pat on the back for sure.
Hey, Roman puts up with me, so he deserves a shout out. That's the way I put it. And also one more sponsor, My Fit Life Personal Training, Dante back in Ohio. Thank you for sponsoring me for this fight too.
All right. And for those in Ohio, Vegas, and Arizona, thank you for watching. I'm Steve of Head Kick Audio, Aleko Poinar, RUF 50, Flyweights, October 22nd, Celebrity Theater. Until next time.
Thanks for having me on, man.